1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. How are you guys doing? How's your week been? My week's been alright. It's been pretty chill. Gearing up for my favorite time of the year, Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. Real big on Halloween. Making my trip to Denver. Pretty excited about that. Just to go on vacation, you know, it's like about to be a busy time at work. I was on the fence about going, honestly. And then I thought about it. I was on the fence before about just even going anywhere. But then I thought about, like, yo, it's about to get crazy busy at work. So I would be doing myself disservice in not going on vacation before things get real crazy at work. So yeah, next week's episode will be recorded from Denver because I fly back Monday. So I'm going to record this in Denver. Got to bring all my shit with me. But yeah, this is episode 166. I'm calling this bad boy for All The Jamains. Alright, we're going to talk about UFC 280. We're going to talk about the UFC Lightweight Championship match. There is a name. The champion has a name. The belt was vacant. And now the champion has a name. Unfortunately, we will talk about that. I'm still in disbelief. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the co-main event. Aljamain Sterling defended his belt against TJ Dillashaw. Definitely going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan. And I guess I didn't write it in my notes, but we are going to talk about Belal Muhammad. Versus Sean Brady. That's what we were going to talk about. I didn't put it in my notes. But I did get the video or the image package ready for this video. So I did intend to talk about it. I just didn't write it in my notes. But if you guys would like to... Oh yeah, also we're going to talk... We're going to talk about the card that is happening next week. UFC Fight Night, Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen. That's a badass fight right there. I can't wait. We're going to talk about that. That's really excited for that fight. That card in general, there's a lot of good fights on this card next week. So, pretty excited about all of that, man. If you guys are excited about the Babylon 5 podcast and you want a little more of the Babylon 5 podcast, head on over to Instagram or Twitter. You can follow me at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com if you guys would like to hit that like button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast. Give it 5 stars, whatever the fuck. I don't really know. It's to do all the things to let people know that you love this podcast. And if you guys are on Twitch, if you believe me that one day I will stream, head on over to twitch.tv/Babylon5. I'm on the fence about if I bring my Xbox with me to Denver. I'm on the fence. I remember, I think I wanted to bring it with me when I went to Vegas for Colby Masvidal, and I didn't, and I severely regretted it. I was so fucking bored. Like, in the times, like, it's like, how high can you get? Like, marijuana's legal in Las Vegas, and it's like, I'm in the room, I was like focused. I'm gonna just make beats and like be focused on music. But then like it's like, damn, how long can I just sit in the room and do this? I wasn't interested in like casinos and all that shit, so I was just chilling. And I was like, damn, I really wish I had 2K or some shit. I really wish I should have brought my Xbox. So I'm on the fence, but the past is telling me that I should, and if I do, then there's no reason for me not to stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys would like to cop that merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. I keep forgetting myself. I'm like, I gotta fucking grab a hoodie. I gotta rock some merch. I basically never rock merch. I had the Boars hoodie that is now banned for TV. I had the Boars hoodie. But it honestly, no, I just haven't really worn it too much lately. I was wearing it the other day. My wife was like, "You look like gothic or some shit," like, and that wasn't necessarily the intention. I just like the black and purple. I mean, the black and pink color scheme. It's pretty fresh. But yeah, if you guys want to cop that merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And don't just be my niche, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. You can be my patron today, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about UFC 280, headlined by my boy Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. And as the UFC so disgustingly tweeted, the champion has a name, and it is Islam Makhachev. Islam dominated Charles Oliveira there, all right? You guys know I'm a big Charles fan. As I said, I called that Oliveira would be the next champ. That was my pick, if you guys are long-time listeners of this podcast. But I also, if you guys remember, if you're long-time listeners, that I did say his toughest fights in the division at the end of the last year. I said his toughest fights would be Islam Makhachev. I didn't understand just how tough of a challenge it was. I said last week, I tried to queue up, like, it took a lot of time for me to queue up these clips or just make these clips of last week's episode of when I was saying, like, I believe that I thought Khabib was delusional when Khabib said that Islam was just going to ride Charles like a horse, make him tired, and finish him in the second round. I thought this man was out of his mind. I called him out on it last week. I even said that in the striking, it's night and day, that Charles was going to just dominate this man in the striking. And I said that Islam, was going to foolishly he's going to foolishly go to the ground. He was not going to respect him. He's going to the ground, and as you see right there, he submits Oliveira. He dominated Oliveira on the feet. He was just hurting Charles repeatedly. And he was definitely not worried about going to the ground with Charles. I couldn't have been more wrong about it. Like, yes, it was night and day on the feet in this fight, but it was the other way around. Islam looked like a monster in there. And now they're talking about Islam Makhachev is going to defend his belt. They got a UFC event coming up in Perth, and the potential main event will be Islam Makhachev defending his belt versus Alexander Volkanovski. I don't know. I mean, it's a good fight. I mean, I like fights. You know what I'm saying? I want to see the fights, but I don't know. I don't really know if I see... I don't know if I see Volkanovski winning that fight. Like, if you guys see this video right now, I saw somebody tweet about it, and I was like, holy fuck, he's right. He's like, Charles taps like 12 times. You know what I'm saying? You only need to tap like once or twice, maybe 3, just because. But he just repeatedly taps. The second Islam shifted over to the side, the second he went from that side, he cleared the body. My dumb ass here, I be buying pay-per-views and shit. I was coming home like right before this main event fight started. Then I see like the bar that is like right below me is fucking showing the fights. I'm like, fuck, I could have been just watching them downstairs for free this whole goddamn time. But I'm at the bar and I'm like, trap the legs, right there. It's like trap the legs. The second he switched over to the other side of his body and got on his side, it was over. I already knew it was over, and I was freaking out watching this. Like, no, and it's fucking crazy, man. He dominates. I don't really see a path to victory for Volkanovski. How good Islam looked in the stand-up, he's going to absolutely be so fucking strong. That was my point there. Like, he tapped like 12 times just off of the strength of that choke. Like, everybody that fights him is like, holy fuck, I've never felt someone so strong. And I feel like, yeah, we've seen Volkanovski escape out of some shit. Brian Ortega was pretty deep with his choke, but at the same time, you had Brian Ortega tweeting out, Habib, please train me. After this pay-per-view. Bilal Muhammad, Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Like, he had a few fighters out here that he was cornering. They all looked like beast. They all look like absolute beast. So I don't really see too much of a path of victory for Volkanovski against Islam Makhachev. Man, I know I said, like, Arman Sarukian would be a tough fight, but I don't know, man. The improvements that I just saw in this man, Islam Makhachev, like, as far as the striking and just, he looked like a fucking world beater. Like a world beater, man. He was in no way worried about Charles anywhere. I thought these niggas were delusional. I thought they were being delusional, but it turns out Islam is that fucking good. So congratulations to Islam Makhachev. I did not see the full fight between Beneil Dariush and Mateusz Gamrot, but I feel like Dariush. I was listening to it when I was at work. I couldn't stream it. I didn't want to buy the pay-per-view because I was at work for most of it. And as I'm saying, I left work like right after Aljo beat Dillashaw, and I fucking rushed home. Nigga, fuck them red lights. And like, yeah, so as I'm walking up past the bar, like they're announcing, like it's just about, like Bruce Buffer is like, and in this corner, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like down to the wire, like, nigga, we gotta go. Yeah, it was down to the wire. Where was I going with that? So I didn't see Dariush. I was listening to some YouTuber. All the streaming, not like I use streaming sites, but they're all blocked with the Wi-Fi at work. And where I work, where I was at the time, there's no fucking cell phone service. You need to be connected to that Wi-Fi. So I can only go to YouTube and like listen to the audio. So I listened to Dariush versus Gamrot, and it sounded like, and I was able to watch the first round of Gamrot Dariush, and yeah, I think Dariush deserves to fight. Well, I say Dariush should fight Islam next, but if not, he should fight Charles Oliveira. If not Islam Makhachev, he should fight Charles Oliveira. Otherwise, I see no fight that makes sense for Gamrot after that victory. When I saw the defensive wrestling and all the rolling, and he looked pretty great everywhere. And then from what I heard with the knockdowns in the third, he sounds pretty amazing as well. So I would like Beneil Dariush to get the next fight against Islam Makhachev. And I don't really think we need to see Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev. I mean, maybe I'm absolutely wrong there. I was absolutely wrong about Charles Oliveira just dominating Islam as I thought. I was wrong about that. Absolutely wrong. Could be wrong about this, but that's where I am with that. Also on this card, for all the Jamains, Aljamain Sterling absolutely ragdolls TJ Dillashaw, okay? He ragdolls TJ. You guys hear me? Aljamain Sterling ragdolled TJ Dillashaw. And I said last week, I don't see TJ even having any chance at winning this fight. I said he got his ass beat against Corey Sandhagen in his last fight. And he shouldn't even be here. And I know some niggas is going to say, but he threw his shoulder out. He came in there already injured. You know what he came in there saying? He came in there saying, like, Aljo's posting videos where he's taking, like, shots of vodka. And he's drinking alcohol. And he's like, I feel like he's like building all these excuses for when he loses. But the second TJ loses, he's like, you know what? I came into that fight with an injured shoulder already. It kept popping out all training camp, but I decided to fight anyway. And it pops out. I feel like it pops out after Aljo kicks him. Aljo kicked him and it like landed like right under the arm and like moved it up. You could see it pop out. But regardless of that, if this ragdolling here, the post-fight press conference, they were asking Aljo, like, didn't he think that the first round should have been a 10-7? He absolutely ragdolled this guy right there, that kick. Boom, you see it pop out. And he ragdolled this man. And if that's not a valid beating, then you must think that Cheeto Vera never beat Sean O'Malley because he got injured in that fight. So that absolutely invalidates the win. No, it doesn't. Cheeto won that fight fair and square, and Aljo dominated this dude who is claiming, I knew I had an injury. I had an injury coming into here that I couldn't throw punches. It kept popping out on training camp, and he could have pulled out and got surgery. But he chose to go in there this way. So like, I'm not allowing any sympathy for TJ here. Not for me. I don't understand it. It is what it is, bro. You chose to come in there as it was. Had TJ won, he would have bragged about, like, yeah, I came in there like hurt with a bad shoulder and I still beat his ass. You know what I'm saying? He would have bragged about it had he somehow won. But as I said, I saw that there was no chance for him in this fight, and he got absolutely ragdolled. I loved it. I love seeing it. As I try to do this like MMA guy media, I try to tell myself I need to be a little more neutral. But I took a lot of pleasure in here, you know what I'm saying? For all the Jamains, congrats to Aljamain Sterling. He calls out Henry Cejudo for his next title defense. I honestly don't want to see that. I would like to see Aljamain Sterling versus the man who won his fight right before his fight, Sugar Sean O'Malley. All right? Some people are calling it controversial, but no, I don't. I felt like the first round was 50-50. Second round I gave to Kattar. Third round, I felt like my boy Sean O'Malley was just touching him up, was all over, hitting this boy with knees. He was all over that man in the third. I feel like Sean easily won. And yeah, Petra got a takedown at the end of the round and ended up on top, but I didn't feel like he did a lot of damage. You know who else didn't think he did enough in that third round, motherfucker? The judges. At least two of the judges who gave the fight to Sean. So, I wasn't wrong in feeling that. I was able to see, I was saying I didn't watch these fights live. I was able to go back and find most of the fights, because you know I can watch like the prelims. It's just that main card where they're like $80, nigga. $80, nigga. You know, and that's where they get me. That's where it gets a little, like, why? You just let me watch like 13 fights. And now you're like, well, if you want the last 4 to 5, $80, nigga. So it was just, I was at work. I couldn't really focus on the fight, so I was like, I'm definitely not about to buy this. So I was, you know, but shout out to Sean. I felt like when I watched the replay this morning, he looked great in that third round. He looked great that whole fight, honestly. He was attacking submissions when Jan was able to get him to the ground. And on the feet, like, he was touching that boy up. I felt like Jan, like, people were like, oh, I didn't expect Jan to come in there with such a wrestling-heavy attack. And it's like, I felt like he had to shoot. He was getting hurt on the feet. He had to shoot. All right? He was shooting. He turned. Sugar Sean O'Malley turned that nigga to a wrestler. Oh, you're a wrestler now. That's what happened. He needed to wrestle because standing with Sean was not a good idea for the long term. That man's got the reach advantage. And he's just so fast. He's just so much faster than Kattar. I don't think this was a robbery, as people were trying to claim, man. You can even look at the numbers. Look at the stats. Are we talking about significant punches? Are we talking about damage trumps all? If damage trumps all, don't talk to me about that takedown. Don't talk to me about control time, nigga. And plus, we do it round by round. I don't see why people be so hung up on control time. But, like, overall control time, and they don't talk to me about damage. It's, nigga, learn the rules. Learn how they fucking judge these fights. So, congrats to Sean O'Malley on the victory here. I would like to see Sean versus Jermaine Sterling next. I don't think O'Malley would win that fight, but I honestly don't think too many people in this division stand a chance against Jermaine Sterling. I think he's a lot better than most. He's the champion for a reason, all right? Aljo is a champ for a reason, so I don't think too many people could do too well, but if anybody, maybe it is Sean, because he's so fast. His striking, man, I just love watching this dude strike, man. It's like art watching this guy strike. I was fucking like shadow boxing at work, just in like doing my fucking Sean O'Malley impression, like the way he throws the jabs, then comes in with the, man, he's so dope. He's so clean. I would like to see Sean versus Aljo next, and I would like to see Petrian, I guess, versus Cheeto at this point. But honestly, this is like recency bias, clearly. But honestly, I feel like Cheeto would dust that nigga up. I feel like Cheeto would dust Petrian up. And the interesting thing about that hot take there is that this is fighting. This is the UFC. This is what they do. So we can find out the answer to that pretty soon here. So I would like to see Petrian versus Cheeto Vera next. That is what I fucking want. And the last fight for UFC 280 I want to talk about. I didn't get to see Chukagi and Ferro. I was listening to it, and I felt like, from what I was hearing, I heard like the first 2 rounds, I felt like Chukagi was touching her up. I think I heard at least the first round. And I felt like she was like outpointing her. But it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. It sounded that way. Oh, so yeah, I got this up here. I didn't even realize that I put this shit up here. Bilal Muhammad defeats Sean Brady, gives him his first loss. As I said, I predicted this last week, that he was just going to be better than him everywhere, and he was going to have the defense there to shut down Brady's wrestling. And all that came to fruition. So, congrats to the beast, Bilal Muhammad. I saw a video where after the fights, he like meets Leon Edwards backstage. They were both backstage. Taito Iwasa was hyping it up like, oh my God, that's Bilal. That's Leon Edwards. And they're just like, just awkwardly like just there. And then I was like, oh shit, they did fight already. Well, kinda. There was that eye poke, and that stopped the fight. There was eye poke right away in the second round. And Leon was like, you know, man, I was on my way to winning that fight. And it's like, how do you fucking just say you were about to win that fight? Like, the fight has to happen. And we see here, since that fight, how impressive, how tough Bilal is, how durable he's been. So I would like to see how that fight would play out. I would like to see them run that back. But of course, we have to have Usman versus Edwards first. We have to have the trilogy fight. Then I would like to see my boy Bilal, remember the name. I would like to see him step in there with Leon Edwards at some point. If not Usman, he's great. I would like to see Bilal versus Colby. He's great, dude. I think he fits in well with everybody at the top 5. So, yeah, I'd like to see some big things from my boy Bilal coming up here. Congrats to Bilal Muhammad. I'm not sure what's next with Sean Brady. As I said last week, I'm not sold on him. I didn't get the hype from what I had seen. Like, someone like Bilal, who I knew could shut down the wrestling, this was going to be easy work for him, and it was. All right? I don't know what's next for this guy. I need Sean Brady to, I don't know, maybe take some time off, really work on that striking, like, turn into a striker. Like, the wrestling needs to be, it's a threat. Everybody's going to know it's a threat, but you still got to be able to fucking, he's just got that left hook. You know what I'm saying? He's got a heavy left hook, but like, look, he's just getting touched up. Plan A did not work, and there was really no plan B for him. There was no plan B, unfortunately, for Sean Brady. As I said, next week we have UFC Fight Night, Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen. This is a good card, all right? This is a really good card. That's a real good fight right there. Arnold Allen and Calvin Kattar, man. I don't even really know who wins this fight, man. My heart says Arnold Allen, but my head says Calvin Kattar, man. If we know anybody that has a chin, it's Calvin Kattar. And I really like Arnold Allen and his punches and bunches style. As you know, I knew he was going to overwhelm Dan Hooker in his last fight with those punches and bunches, and it went just that way. But if anybody has a chin, it's Calvin Kattar. And with this being a 5-round fight, you know, it's the question of, will Allen be able to crack that chin, that seemingly iron chin, cast iron or whatever, seemingly iron chin of Calvin Kattar, or ladies and gentlemen, this Arnold Allen his toughest opponent to date, does he blow his load trying to get Calvin Kattar out of there early, and then he's just tired in there, and he's just easy pickings. Calvin's just touching him up with the boxing, just combinations, just all over him. I think that's the game that could be played here, but hopefully it doesn't go that way. I would just hate to see like it go that way, that Allen just gets absolutely tired in there and is just getting beat up. I would hate for it to go that way, but who knows? We'll see when the fight happens. As I said, I don't have a pick right now, man. My heart says Allen. My head says Kattar. So you guys will see on Saturday when I post my card on who I got in this fight, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, I do not know. Also, a couple fights on this card that I'm into is Dustin Jacoby versus Khalil Roundtree. Now, that's a lot of fight, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot of fight right there. Excited for that fight. We got Chase Hooper back in action against Steve Garcia. C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is fighting on this card. We got Trayshawn Gore in action on this card. This is a pretty good card. What is the Tim Means versus Max Griffin is the co-main. That's a good fight right there. That's a lot of fight. Roman Dolidze. I forget who he's fighting. I was just trying to go off memory here, but yeah, no, this is a good card. And I believe, if I'm correct, that if I'll be in Denver, it says that it starts, I think, 4 p.m. Eastern, so I believe that's 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So that means I can watch fights and still go to and not be late or whatever. And because there's like a Adam Sandler party I'm supposed to be going to that day, as you guys saw my wig last week. Yeah, so like that's later in the day, I'd imagine, unless it's a day party. We are men of a certain age. Unless it's a day party, then I'll be just a little annoyed because I want to watch fights. But yeah, I think it won't conflict with what I'm doing. So I'm pretty hyped about that, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty hyped about these fights, and I'll record it all from the telly. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully, might even do a little Twitch streaming for you guys. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Just had to run through this real quick. It's actually pretty late. I think that was a pretty good time for you guys. And if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5Podcast@gmail.com. You guys can hit that like button anywhere you're listening to this. Hit that 5-star rating. Do whatever you need to do to let people know that you love the Babylon 5 podcast. If you guys trust me, all right, I won't lead you astray. If you want to watch me playing video games, head on over to twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys want to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my Niji, be my patron. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. You know, I was thinking, I was like, I should have fucking had a Discord community probably years ago, you know? Maybe I'm jumping the gun, but I was like, I saw it and I was like, fuck, why didn't I set that up? I'm on Discord. But anywho, thank you guys so much for being here another week. Episode 166 for All The Jamains. And I'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican no. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican no. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican no.